We've been working on different parts of spaces, so ways to divide it, how the spaces work together, all those parts and pieces. So what we're going to talk about now is how do you start to combine those things to create a full project, a full space. So we've talked about different ways to classify space, and one space may have a few of these different descriptions that applies to them. So space, their physical characteristics. A living room can be open or enclosed or semi-enclosed. So semi-enclosed would be if it had, maybe three walls were closed off, but one was open. It could be big or small. Um, how they're combined in place. So is it completely on its own? Does it need any other support? Does it have to be connected to something else? Does it go along the outside perimeter? Does it need to be internal, etc.? The function of it. So is it a main space like a reception space that everyone's coming into, or is it a supporting space like a small copy print area? And then how does it interact with people? So is it open to everyone? Is it only you can come into these spaces if you're invited in, or is it only for the residents of the space? There's certain qualities that go into making a successful project. This is not an exhaustive list. There are more that goes into it. But really, you've got to make sure that it meets not just the visual design needs and what it looks like, also that it's functional as it goes through. So simplicity, this one is sometimes one of the most difficult ones. We tend to make things more difficult, either by the way the corridors are laid out, or not thinking through how we can combine spaces. So making a space simple is sometimes hard. Um, and sometimes also we want to be more like really creative. If you think back to that one example of the hotel lobby where they had that, like, I think it was like a fountain with a statue and then it had seating around it. That was a very complex type space and not easy to really function in. So taking complex design requirements, because lots of times what they need and the list you come back with is huge, and making it clear and simple is harder. You can be creative and make it simple, so they aren't mutually exclusive. Cohesion. Okay, so this is making sure that the whole space makes sense together. So you want to avoid splitting it up into a lot of small pieces, because that it's just not comfortable for people. Like as we walk into a space, if you're in medical buildings, I know I use these a lot as examples, but they make a lot of sense. A medical building where it's a long hallway and there's just door after door after door of small medical spaces. It's and maybe lots of corridors. Not appealing, not good to walk through as it goes through. Um, so changing that, making it where spaces can flow together where they can. Now, obviously, doctors' offices, two different doctors' offices can't just flow together, but hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to illustrate. Make sure the overall design makes sense. So again, like if you're looking at a house, don't design the dining room in a bubble and then go to the living room and design it completely different, and then design the kitchen completely different. All of it should flow together. Practical, you should go back to the beginning, convenience and comfort. That is what we are looking for as humans. Yes, we want it to look great and we want to have that unique elements, but it also needs to provide that convenience and comfort. So making sure that you've got the spaces where they need to be, and good circulation helps with that. So again, a lot of these pull together. If you've got a cohesive space and it's a simple design, you're going to have good circulation. If one of these is off, if you see one, that probably means you need to look at all of them. And then efficiency, try to avoid waste. So shorter routes are better than longer. Again, that's also going to make it simpler. Make sure something's comfortable, but don't make spaces bigger than they need to be. If an office, everything is that's needed will fit into a space that's 12 foot by 12 foot, don't make it 14 foot by 14 foot just to be bigger. Um, use that extra space in something else where it makes sense. Make the break room bigger so there's more people can fit in it or something like that. And then also think about spaces that can serve more than one use. So here's a couple examples of a restaurant. So restaurant A, um, as you come in here, you've got the waiting space here. It's got a good sense of definition as you come in. So you can see there's waiting spaces here. There's the reception desk, the host desk, and it's right next to the bar area. So it's going to pull people in to that space. People can very clearly see where the bar is from any area as they come in. If they've got private dining from the main dining, everyone can see that space. They've also they know that there is a lot of traffic here. So this space is bigger and open, but it's intentional so that people can pass through it. And then off the kitchen, the way they have the exits, they've got two different exits. It reduces the amount of traffic. So you've only got half of the wait staff going through each one instead of everyone going through the same door. All right, so then restaurant option B or example B, this area, it's more congested because you've got seating right here. So you come in and you can sit over here, but there's also people sitting. This isn't a good spot to sit and eat dinner when everyone's coming in as well. And then you've also got dining tables just right off of it. The circulation that the wait staff has to go through, it's okay over here where they had this big open area because there's a lot of space. The wait staff wasn't going through it. There's again this big space that a lot of people are coming through, but your wait staff is having to go through this as well because they're coming out of the kitchen, out of this wait station, and through here. So you're getting even more traffic here. And then lastly, the bar, since it's in the back and kind of closed off, the restaurant is going to lose business at that bar because people don't see it and go directly to it with that. And you can see one big change that would help if they had the bar up here next to the wait area and the dining back here, it would make a huge difference. So sometimes it's just a simple switch that makes a big difference.